Everyone to second episode of Decoding the Bible according to the Zohar. Today we're gonna take a look at the Zoharic interpretation of Genesis 1 verse 2. Vehaaretz hayetah tohu vavohu vehosheh al penei tehom veruah Elohim merahefet al penei hamayim. So the second verse from Genesis 1 verse 2, it plunges us into the primordial chaos from which creation unfolds. It says in English, "And the earth was formless and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God hovered over the face of the waters." So in the Zohar, this verse becomes a treasury of symbols and spiritual mysteries. It describes not merely a physical condition of the earth, but a mystical dynamic in which the hidden dimensions of reality coalesce. So today will be an expansive interpretation, weaving together key Kabbalistic themes such as the Sephirot, the Shekinah, the divine names, and the interplay between hidden and revealed realms. So the first one we have Tohu Vabohu, the primordial state. The verse speaks of the earth as formless and void. In Hebrew, Tohu Vabohu. So the Zohar devotes significant attention to these two terms, reading them as coded references to mystical forces and stages in the unfolding of creation. Tohu, often translated as chaos or formlessness. The Zohar interprets Tohu as a hidden, undifferentiated potential. It is the raw substrate of reality before divine wisdom configures it into recognizable patterns. Some Zoharic passages associate Tohu with the initial, unshaped outpouring of energy, the chaotic swirl from which all cosmic order will later emerge. The second word, Bohu, usually translated as void or emptiness. Bohu is understood as a latent structure that can receive form. The Zohar depicts Bohu as that matrix in which the seeds of creation are planted. In other words, Bohu isn't merely nothingness. It implies a readiness to take shape, an inner scaffolding waiting to be filled with divine light. This interpretation resonates with the idea that Tohu is undifferentiated potential, like primordial chaos, and Bohu is the beginning of definition, an empty vessel. Together, they represent a cosmic tension, the swirling of raw energy, and the embryonic structure that awaits God's act of shaping. So the second we have Vehosheh al penei tehom, darkness and the face of the deep. Following Tohu Vavohu, the text highlights the presence of darkness over the face of the deep. Darkness, Hoheh, in conventional terms, darkness represents the absence of light. Yet in the Zohar's mystical reading, darkness is not simply a lack, but a concealed form of divine energy. The Zohar sometimes links Sohek with Geburah, in English might, the Sephirah, through which limitation and hiddenness arise. Concealed light, the Zohar teaches that a hidden light exists within the darkness. Initially, the infinite light of Ein Sof is too vast to be revealed outright. Darkness is thus the essential cloak that enables creation to come into being by shielding finite creatures from the overwhelming infinity. The second word we have the deep, or in Hebrew, tehom. This term evokes an unfathomable abyss or cosmic ocean. In the Zohar, tehom can stand for the lower depths of the spiritual realms, the place of potential and hiddenness, out of which forms can emerge. Sometimes it is portrayed as a realm that yearns upward for light, illustrating the tension of creation, a deep that longs to be filled with divine influx. The third, we have Al Penei Tehom. The phrase, upon the face of the deep, signals that the darkness rests as a covering over something infinitely vast. The face, Penei, can symbolize the surface or interface between the unformed depths of the emerging forms. Even though darkness looms, it is, in the Zohar's language, a sign of the divine secret presence, the darkness that both hides and protects the deeper mysteries. So on the third we have Ruach Elohim, the Spirit of God. The verse continues, and the Spirit of God hovered. And God here is Ruach Elohim. According to the Zohar, the name Elohim conveys divine judgment, power, and the constraining attribute. Yet, within this moment of creation, Ruach Elohim is not purely a force of limitation. It is creative potential waiting to shape the chaos. So Ruach in English means spirit. Ruach can mean wind, breath, or spirit. In the Zoharic framework, it suggests a divine animating force that prepares the unformed realms to receive order. If darkness is the cloak that prevents direct exposure to the infinite, then the Spirit is a moderated unveiling, a gentle steering that guides the cosmic matter into higher articulation. Elohim as plurality. The name Elohim is grammatically plural, hinting that God's oneness manifests through a plurality of Sephirot. The spirit that hovers or vibrates over the waters contains within it all the 10 Sephirot in potential. This is the subtle point before light begins to differentiate into distinct modes of divine energy, as in the Tree of Life, like Hesed, Geburah, Tiferet, etc. The hovering. The Zohar often draws on the image of a bird hovering or fluttering over its nest to warm its eggs. An apt metaphor for the Spirit's role in awakening creation. Just as a bird imparts life-giving heat, so does Ruach Elohim infuse the Tehom, in English the deep, with vitalizing energy, ensuring that form can blossom out of formlessness. On the fourth section, we have the Merahevet al Penei Hamayim, hovering over the waters. So the phrase Merahevet al Penei Hamayim, hovering over the face of the waters, is among the most evocative in the creation narrative. The Zohar interprets the waters on multiple levels. First, its upper versus lower waters. Later, in Genesis 1, the text separates water above and waters below. The Zohar sees the waters here as the undifferentiated waters, containing both aspects: spiritual waters, representing the supernal wisdom from the tree of life, Binah, and lower waters, representing the physical or earthly domain. Thus, the Spirit of God hovers over a threshold that is not yet split into upper and lower realms. And waters as chesed. In Kabbalistic symbolism, water often corresponds to hesed, loving kindness, the flowing, nurturing energy of creation. When the Spirit hovers over the waters, it heralds the beginning of balance between Geburah, which is the limiting aspect in Elohim, and Hesed, the expansive aspect. The Zohar thus discerns this. In this verse, the seeds of all harmonious interplay among the divine attributes. Shekinah and the waters. Sometimes the Zohar uses the imagery of water to allude to the Shekinah, which is the divine presence in the lower realms. As the Spirit of God hovers, it is akin to the masculine principle, the Holy One, blessed be He, preparing to unite with the feminine principle, Shekinah. In this cosmic marriage, creation is conceived and sustained. Darkness before light, the concealed and the revealed. A core theme in the Zohar is that darkness precedes light in the cosmic order, reflecting the process by which the infinite, Ein Sof, transitions from hidden to revealed. Din and Hesed. The Zohar reads the opening verses of Genesis as describing the interplay of contraction, Din or Geburah, and expansion, in Hebrew Hesed. First, a constrictive darkness sets boundaries. Then, the creative wind or spirit emerges to shape and fill those boundaries with illumination. Then we have revelation emerges from concealment. Consistent with the notion that God first constricts, the Zimtum concept in later Kabbalah, the darkness of Genesis 1 verse 2 is the womb in which the seeds of revelation are gestating. This underscores a recurring principle in the Zohar: only through concealment can new light emerge. The divine desire for relationship. In the darkness that covered the deep, the Zohar sees not a cosmic accident, but a deliberate failing. It is an expression of the infinite's desire to be known in finite realms. The darkness thus signifies an intimate, almost maternal hiddenness from which the cosmos can be birthed safely. Now, the Sephirot within the verse. Though the text itself mentions only the earth, darkness, the deep, the spirit, and the waters, the Zohar perceives all 10 Sephirot in potential within Genesis 1 verse 2. Here's the schematic that some commentaries in the Zohar suggest. Tohu, the chaotic potential, linked to Keter or Hokmah in certain ways, as it is an undifferentiated, all-encompassing point of beginning. And then the letter Bohu, shape potential, linked to Binah, which takes the seed of Hokmah and gives it structure and form. Darkness, often aligned with Gevurah and sometimes can be associated with Binah as well, depending on the textual passage. And then the deep could be associated with Malkuth in her unredeemed state, an abyss longing to be filled by divine influx. Spirit of God might be associated with the central column, the Tiferet, or with the encompassing presence that balances Hesed and Gevurah. Waters typically correspond to Chesed, but also can imply Yesod when referencing the vital flow that channels divine grace. So by noting these connections, the Zohar shows how Genesis 1 verse 2 encapsulates the entire cosmic drama of emanation, from the highest apex of divine will to the lowest realms of unformed matter. So the Shekinah's hidden role. While the Shekinah, the divine presence, often referred to in feminine terms, is more explicitly mentioned later in the Zohar's commentary on Genesis, her concealed role is already at work in chapter 1 verse 2. Hovering as nurture, the Zohar interprets Merahefet, in English hovering, with maternal undertones, linking it to the Shekinah's function of nurturing and protecting creation. Darkness as exile. Later in the biblical narrative, the Shekinah's darkness becomes a metaphor for exile, divine presence hidden in the lower realms. The pre-creation state Tohu Vavohu can thus be viewed as a prototype for all subsequent conditions of concealment. Union in potential. In these earliest verses, the masculine aspect of the divine, sometimes identified with Tiferet, and the feminine aspect with Shekinah or Malkuth, remain in an incipient form, awaiting the acts of separation and articulation that unfold through the days of creation. Mystical dimensions of sound and vibration. Zoharic commentary often uses imagery of sound, breath, or vibration to illustrate how the divine word or wind animates reality. Merahefet, the Hebrew root RCHF, suggests trembling, fluttering, or vibrating. This word indicates an ongoing oscillation, as though the divine spirit continuously resonates, causing the primordial waters to wake up and become attuned to the creative word that follows in the next verses. Cosmic music. So some passages in the Zohar depict the act of creation as a musical or harmonic process, the interplay of the Sephirot generating a symphony of being. Genesis 1 verse 2 sets the stage by depicting the cosmic instrument, Tohu, Bohu, darkness, and the deep. And the first vibrations, Ruach Elohim Merahefet, that prime the universe to sing with divine light. So preparation for let there be light, which comes in the next verse, which we'll be talking about on the next episode. So although Genesis 1 verse 2 does not explicitly mention light, it is necessary prelude to let there be light in the following verse, Genesis 1 verse 3. The Zohar reads verse 2 and verse 3 together as two stages. Stage 1, concealment and formation, Tohu Vavohu, darkness and the spirit hovering. This is the cosmic womb, the primal hush before the dawn. Stage 2, the revelation, God speaks Yehi, or let there be light, unveiling the verse explicit emanation of divine illumination into creation. The Zohar points out that the Spirit's presence and action are essential preludes to revelation. The ephemeral hush of verse 2 is pregnant with possibility, ensuring that when light does appear in verse 3, it can be received and integrated rather than scattering back into the infinite. So the practical and the contemplative lessons in the Zoharic traditions, these verses are not only about the distant past, but also about the perpetual unfolding of creation, both in the cosmos and within each individual soul. Mystics and Kabbalists may draw from Genesis 1 verse 2 a series of contemplative insights, embracing chaos as potential, times of confusion or darkness in one's life can be seen as stages of preparation. Like Tohu Vavohu, our moments of formlessness carry the possibility of transformation and spiritual growth. Balancing concealment and revelation, spiritual progress often unfolds through phases of hiddenness, or we can see this as darkness, and phases of enlightenment, or we can see this as light. Recognizing these rhythms can foster patience and trust in the divine process. Receiving the hovering spirit, the Zohar suggests that one open oneself to the Ruach Elohim, the divine breath that vibrates gently but powerfully. Through meditation, prayer, and ethical refinement, a person can catch this hovering spirit, allowing it to illuminate the deep places within. Unity of opposites. Genesis 1 verse 2 shows that creation arises when opposites, darkness and the spirit, chaos and form, waters and boundaries, are brought into synergy. In personal spiritual work, reconciling contrasting forces such as intellect and emotion, discipline and kindness can lead to deeper wholeness. So we're going to summarize the Zoharic themes in Genesis verse 1, Genesis 1 verse 2. Primordial chaos, tohu, or unshaped potential, and bohu, structured potential, are the cosmic womb from which reality emerges. Darkness as concealed light. Hosheh, or darkness, is not merely absence. It is a concealment of the divine that allows finite worlds to exist. The deep yearning, tehom, or in English, the deep, is the unfathomable abyss, a metaphor for the lower realms awaiting divine infusion. Spirit of God and divine names, Ruach Elohim, signifies a controlled balancing force, the interplay of divine powers, readying the cosmos for revelation. Hovering waters. The imagery of Merahefet, or in English hovering, suggests tenderness, vibration, and the feminine presence of Shekinah overshadowing the raw potential of the waters. Preparation for light. This verse sets the stage for the emergence of light in the next chapter, on the verse 3, demonstrating the necessity of concealment before revelation. So ultimately, the Zohar sees Genesis 1 verse 2 as an intimate portrayal of the divine drawing near to the hidden depths of creation, gently infusing them with the breath of life. It is a timeless drama reenacted in every moment. God's Spirit continually hovers over the potentialities of existence, guiding them toward light and form. So by reading this text with Zoharic eyes, we discover that creation is not a single static event, but an ever-present process. Darkness and chaos exist to be redeemed by divine light, an interplay that resonates throughout the entire cosmos and within each human heart. That's it, everyone. See you on the next episode. Be blessed.